Alright, my first video in God knows how long, rolling, and action. I want to start off by saying that I am not going to mention any production or even hint at any production when I'm talking about my experiences because I don't want to get sued. I just started last year and I've only ever worked in the state of Georgia, so I'm sure my experiences are very different from anyone who's worked in other states and especially in places like California. So obviously this is all objective and this is just my opinion and my experience, but I feel like it's something interesting. And there was actually a moment recently when things started picking back up that I was trying to find help with something online and there's like no resource, there's no one talking about it, and maybe there is and I just haven't found the right thing, but I wish there was just a place where people who do this kind of job can like help each other out. Basically, I'm making this video for my own selfish reasons because I wish there was stuff like this out there, but also people just have tons of questions when I talk about being an extra. They think it's the coolest thing in the world. It's fun, yeah, for sure. It's definitely interesting and fun and I enjoy it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it, but I just wanted to throw it all out there in one cohesive video so I could just word vomit and then never talk about it again. Because when you get asked the same question 20 times, you're over it. I'm over it. First, I want to clarify that a lot of productions will actually call you background or background actors. They won't call you an extra. I'm going to try to separate this video from pre-COVID and post-COVID as far as being an extra, so my experience last year versus now, because things are so vastly different and there's so many people who have just now started working as an extra and I'm like, wow, you're having to deal with stuff none of us had to deal with, and it's kind of a really sucky time to take this on for the first time. Like, this is your first impression of being an extra, is this like overbearing people making sure you social distance and you have to wear the mask all the time and it like messes up your makeup and just a lot of things that the CDC makes us follow, which, you know, it's keeping us safe. It's just, it kind of ruins the vibe. It used to be a lot of fun to just like pile into a room together. I would lay on the floor and holding and like rest my eyes just so I could have like a moment of peace during the 12 hours that I'm standing on concrete. One of the first questions I get asked is pay, and it changes each time. There's no consistent rate. Each production's gonna pay you differently, and I've actually never done a movie, so I don't know how the pay differs in movies or if it differs at all. For TV shows, it's almost consistently somewhere between $75, $76 to $88 per 8 hours. And then you almost always work past 8 hours, which means you get paid overtime, which is time and a half, and all of us tend to count down to that 8 hours. And speaking of hours, it's rare to spend less than 10, 12 hours on a set, at least in my experience. You always hit that 8-hour mark and go over. Speaking of time, you have a call time on the day of production, and that's the time that you are expected to already be there. So get there easily 30 to 15 minutes before. Don't get there earlier than 30 minutes, but don't get there later than 15. That's your perfect window, because you never know when you get there if there's going to be something weird with parking, because there's no instruction. All productions, this is no one in particular, send you a vague email about where to show up, and then you show up and there's like signs pointing you where you need to go, but it still gets weird. And getting in there and getting checked in. Give yourself easily 15 to 30 minutes to be parked and be working your way into studio, or if it's a location, you know, whatever, they might have a shuttle bus take you from where you park your car to where you need to go. I've had call times be like 5 a.m. or 5:30 in the morning. Sometimes if you have to do your own hair and makeup, that means you have to be up early, you have to get ready, and you have to drive there. And most places where they film are like in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of studios you could drive by and never know you just drove by where they film like Ozark or something. So if I have to be there at 6:30, I have to leave at 5, which means I'm up at like 3:30, and ooh, why do I do this? Now that I think about it, why do I do it? So you are given a call time, but you are not given a wrap time. There's no time where you can expect to go home. No matter your call time, even if it's 6:30 in the morning, don't plan anything. You can't leave to go get lunch. Like, no, they provide lunch and I'll get to it. Don't even plan dinner. You have no idea. I have arrived on set before the sun has risen and left set when the sun was already down. I never saw the sun once the whole day. You have signed away 24 hours to this production because that call time can change. Everything is so last minute. That's my next point, is everything is last minute. So you have to be flexible because you don't get your call time till the night before. So like I said, leave the day open. You have no idea. You might be showing up at 5:30 in the morning. You might not show up till 10:30 or 11 o'clock. And then you wake up early, not even the crack of dawn. You wake up in the middle of the night to get ready, and then you have to check your email or text or however they communicate with you. Because it could change. It could change up into the moment you arrive. Usually, if they've given you a call time at night, when you wake up in the morning, if it changes, it's just pushed back. They're not going to expect you to suddenly get there earlier, like if you just woke up. Maybe that happens. That's not been my experience. The very few times my call time has been changed, very, very last minute, like day of, it's just been pushed like 30 minutes later. And before COVID, you wouldn't even know what day you were filming sometimes. I would get text messages on a Wednesday asking if I'm available Thursday. And I would get that all the time from different casting companies. You don't have to take the job. You can say, nope, I'm not available, and they'll be like, cool, and they'll find someone else because there's plenty of people. But there's no planning. There's no like, this week I think will be an extra on like Tuesday and Thursday, and that'll, be a good amount of money for me this week. No, you don't get to plan that. Not at all. You just wake up each morning and hope, which is why it's very tough for people who have other jobs to work around, because you can't just call in the day before sometimes and be like, hey, I can't come in to work at all tomorrow. Now they give you about a week because they have to give you a COVID test before you can come on set. As I said before, meals are provided. It's always lunch, or depending on when you shoot, you always get one meal, but there's a chance sometimes if you're there super early, they provide breakfast. Usually meals they'll call catering, but there's usually, sometimes with COVID, you never know, but there's usually a table set out that's got like coffee and just little like granola bars and snacks, and they call that crafty. Now there's two different kinds of crafty. There's the crew crafty, and then there's yours. Can you guess which one's better? It's fine. It gets you through the day. It's just snacks. Bring your own snacks if you're picky. It's not often that I run into situations where I have trouble finding something to eat, especially being in Atlanta. There's some other freak on set who eats the way I do, or at least eats close to the way I do. There's only been like once or twice where I just ate like raw vegetables. So I mentioned fitting before, and sometimes depending on your role and what production it is, they will actually fit you for a costume. So usually you bring your own clothes the day of, and you just wear whatever outfit you think is best for whatever role that you're supposed to be playing. And then you bring at least 3 other outfits with that, so 4 total. I usually just bring 3 because I don't have 4, especially since some stuff I've done is like more business casual. I'm like, I own no business clothes. Are you kidding me? But anyway, you bring your own clothes, but if you don't have anything that's like perfect, don't sweat it, because even if you are required to bring your own wardrobe, you will show up and they will still have a wardrobe department. They might like the shirt you're wearing but not the pants, so they just swap the pants out, or they hate the whole thing and they make you change entirely. I've had both. But if you have a fitting, you will show up to wherever it is. It's usually not the place that you're filming. You walk into this room with like tons of clothes. Well, now with COVID, you don't. You just stay in your own little isolated room and they bring you clothes. You'll give them your measurements and your weight and stuff, and then they'll just fit you for whatever's appropriate, and then they usually hold on to your costume. And then when you show up the day of filming, you can literally show up in whatever. I mean, try not to look like too raggedy, you know what I mean? Just as long as you're camera ready once you're changed, whatever, dude. And then obviously you want something comfortable to change back into at the end of the day, because you've just spent 12 hours standing on concrete in something that's probably slightly ill-fitted but is like fine for the camera. But like I mentioned before, if you are expected to show up with your own outfit and your own hair and makeup, you have to show up already ready. I know I said to get there anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes early, but even if you get there 30 minutes early, I know you're thinking like, oh, well, I have time to do my makeup. And like in theory you do, but don't. It reflects bad on you and you may not get hired again. I know that sounds harsh. That's just the way it is. Just show up. If you are not getting your hair and makeup done by production, show up with your hair and makeup completely done and in your best possible outfit. I mean, you can touch up your makeup and stuff once you get there, or if you forgot to put lipstick on, like it's fine, you get there, put it on, and then you'll get there and you'll have some downtime where you're not being like rushed to set right away. It's a courtesy thing, it's a professionalism thing, just do it, it's fine. And you want to make sure you bring your makeup with you, even if your face is fully beat and you've got that Urban Decay all-nighter setting spray, bring your makeup to touch it up. And even if they do your makeup for you, bring your own makeup to touch it up. Now with COVID, I've had my makeup done by one production recently. I had to bring my own stuff with me, so they could not use anything on my face that wasn't mine. So if I didn't bring it, they couldn't use it. So like I have tattoos, and usually they would cover them with makeup or just make you wear long sleeves. This time I had to wear long sleeves because I didn't have anything to cover them with makeup wise, so they couldn't cover them. Although the day of filming, I saw people with makeup over their tattoos, and I was like, oh, who did that? And they're like, oh, production. And I was like, oh, sick, I'm having to wear this long sleeve shirt. I don't know. We're all still trying to figure out how to function, so if you get somewhere and the rules change as the day goes on, or if you're there for multiple days, you gotta be flexible. This job, your number one rule is be flexible. Just be ready for things to change. If you got moved to holding and you were told that you're gonna be there for a couple hours, and then someone rushes in 5 minutes later and he's like, we gotta be on set right now, get up. Get going. Or if they're like, hold on guys, make sure you wait, we might actually use you in a few minutes, and then you end up staying there for an hour, be okay with it, because That's just how it is. It's not a lack of professionalism or it's not a bad crew. It's just the way the set works. I don't know. Now, getting hair and makeup done is exactly as glamorous as it sounds. Before COVID, when you were allowed to be within 6 feet of each other, you would pile into this trailer, but it was like the kind of trailers that you see movie stars in, and like there's been times where like the actual actors were in the same trailer with me, but that was only because the guy who did my makeup was running late. Anyway, but you like get to sit in like the fun little director looking chair, and then you have people who are professionals like fussing over your hair and your makeup, and like you get to just sit there and they powder you, I don't know, whatever. No complaints there. Beautiful. Love it. I've gotten compliments on things that I've never gotten complimented on. I didn't even know I was supposed to be insecure about having hooded eyes until like a couple of years ago when a TikTok went around about like how to do your eyeliner, and I was like, oh, I didn't know I was doing it wrong. I didn't know that was an issue. Like a couple weeks ago, one of the girls who was doing my makeup was like, I love that you have hooded eyes because I love that I can like put a little color in here and it like pops. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. But like I said before, even if they do your hair and makeup for you, still bring makeup. You never know if you're going to need to touch it up. Maybe they'll look through your palettes, things that you have, and like those things better. Take my word for it. It is possible to do this full time. I've met people who do. I've never done it full time. But before, COVID, like I said, you could get a text the day before. You could go a couple of weeks without hearing anything and then get like 7 different alerts for the same day about different productions. Godspeed. Now, of course, with COVID, everything's more spread out. And I think honestly, it would make it easier to do it full time because you still get more of a heads up. However, things still kind of move. I'll get booked for something a couple weeks out, and then before that even arrives, they're like, actually, can you work this day instead? And then like the day before, they'll be like, actually, can you work both of these days? Okay, so now you're actually on set. There's a place called holding, and that is where you are. That's where extras hang out when they're not being used. Most of the time you get sent to holding when you're not being used. If it's gonna be like too close in between some shots, or if you're at a location where it's just hard to set one up. There are times where I was doing an outdoor shoot and we basically just sat behind the cameras on like a couple of benches for the whole day because holding was like too far away, so we only went there when it was like lunchtime, and then we went back on set. Also, when they use you, it's a give or take. You could be there for 12 hours and you're on set for like 2 of those hours. Even though I've done it for a while now, I still don't know what to expect. Just show up and just be okay with whatever happens that day. Anyway, yes, so holding is where you are, and it's usually either if you're filming on a set that's inside like one of these warehouses like I described, so it's a set that's built inside something. Sometimes your holding is just on the other side of that set, so it's like you can't make any noise, especially when they're rolling, because everything can get picked up. So you gotta be silent until they call cut, and then you can talk quietly. Or if it is a location set and they are able to set up a holding, it's just a huge tent with tables. Now with COVID, that's what it is, where we would usually just all kind of get to hang out together. We have this giant tent and these long tables, and only one person at each end of the long table, and then they're all spread out, and it's like we could have like condensed this. But, they're doing everything they can to keep us safe. It's just frustrating because you have to have a negative test to go on set, and then I've actually been on a set where I had a negative test, and then I came in, and that day they gave us the rapid test where you find out in like 20 minutes. So all of us were negative coming in and then had a negative rapid test, and we still had to be 6 feet apart at all times. If we weren't filming, we had to like spread apart and like stand away from each other, all wearing N95 masks and goggles basically, and had to constantly keep those on. And then the minute they called rolling, you had 10 seconds to rip that stuff off and stuff it in like a purse or a prop or something, hide it before action is called, so that way you're not wearing it. And it's like, there's definitely an imprint on my nose and like makeup getting rubbed off. And it's frustrating. Like, I get it, they're keeping us safe, but come on, we're all negative. Like, we'll do the mask thing, whatever, but like, do we really have to be this uptight about it? But I was on a production where we just wore our own cloth masks, and then they like kind of, once we were on set, they were just like, you're on set, you're fine. Again, I'll do whatever I need to do to work. I don't care. And like I mentioned before, when they call rolling, shut up. No sound. If you are near the set in any way and they call rolling, I mean, like, if you're walking, let's say you're coming back from the bathroom or something, you stop walking. Don't walk. Don't move until they call cut. And they only film for like 10, 15 seconds at a time. So you'll hear rolling, go quiet, action, something happens, and then not even 10 seconds later, all right, cut, and then you can keep moving. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. I'm giving you these resources, so if you are interested in this job, definitely go for it. Have fun, but don't ruin it for the rest of us. But even then, you're not really ruining it for the rest of us. You're just ruining it for yourself because you're going to get fired and then they're just going to keep hiring me. Now, when you're in holding, there are a lot of times where you will have a lot of downtime. Like I said, there was a time where I wasn't being used for 2 hours, 3 hours at a time. So you can bring something like a laptop. You can do schoolwork if you're in college. I didn't do this while in college, but I have friends that do. And they would bring their computer, they'd bring their homework, and you may not get a chance to do anything that day. You might be used all day, or you might have 3 hours uninterrupted where you can sit there. I've edited YouTube videos, watched Netflix with headphones, clearly. There's ways to spend your time there and be productive in some way, and no one's gonna give you a hard time. I mean, if you're like typing really loud, like I said, when they call rolling, then yeah, you're in trouble. I bring my Switch, I play Animal Crossing, just vibe. Your time in holding is your own. You can have your phone in holding, but you cannot have it on set. Even if you have pockets, leave it. You will get in trouble. There are productions that will straight up not only fire you, but fire the person in charge of you, which is called a PA. They're called a production assistant. I'm trying to be one, so again, if anyone in Atlanta needs a PA who has no experience, but I have experience on set, just as an extra, not a PA. Anyway, it's the PA in charge of you. They can get fired because you decided to be an idiot. Should go without saying, don't take pictures of anything. I have taken pictures of how I looked when I was in holding, never anything on set, but I've had pictures taken of like if I liked my costume or whatever, and I did post something on my Instagram, so I'm allowed to talk about this. I was in the show called Legacies last year, and it was an 80s themed thing, so that was fun. It's in like season 3, I think, if you want to go look for me. I don't remember what episode. I just know they get sent back in time or something. I was allowed to post a picture of my costume after the episode aired. We asked permission, we were given permission, that's it, but I didn't post anything from set. It was just me and a couple of the other extras because we liked our fits and we wanted to show off our fits. If you, for some reason, take like a selfie in your makeup, if they do your makeup, you can take pictures in holding for like, memories or whatever, but don't post them unless you were given permission to post them after something airs. Don't do it. Sometimes in a contract that you signed and you didn't even read it, because who reads anything anymore, it'll say that any picture you take while on their property is actually owned by the production. So even your selfie is owned by whoever. If it's Netflix, your selfie is owned by Netflix. They own it. Don't post it unless they give you permission. All right, so some specific things about working during COVID that I want to touch on is I've gotten COVID tested every week, once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending. But they do pay you to get the COVID test. Not only is it free, they pay you because they know people are driving from far away. So at least like my gas money's covered. You wear a mask, like I said, constantly unless you are eating or actively filming. And with fittings now, whenever you try stuff on, if for whatever reason what you tried on doesn't work, you have to immediately put it in a bin for it to immediately get washed. It doesn't get tried on again and again. It used to be you tried stuff on, if it didn't work, they just hung it back up because you only wore it for like a minute. It didn't really matter. But now germs matter apparently now. And of course I mentioned with makeup, they used to just use their own products on you, but now you have to bring your own makeup. So if you maybe don't have a lot of variety, just get some cheap palettes, some e.l.f., NYX, whatever. They're still good. All right, I think for the most part I covered everything. It's fun. I genuinely enjoy it. I mean, it always depends on the crew. I've had a few times where a crew is just kind of in a bad mood and maybe it's the director did something and it's rubbing off on everyone. But for the most part, I've worked with some incredible people. And especially now, ironically, after COVID, everyone's in a better mood because we're all just happy to be working again. And you meet so many different kinds of people, not just in the crew, but as extras. It's people from all different walks of life, all different ages, ethnicities, body shapes, whatever, you name it. So it doesn't matter what you look like. I know that there was like a whole thing with the idea of Hollywood and you have to be thin and pretty and like, no. To be an extra, specifically, no. You just need to fill up space depending on, what they're filming. If it is a period piece, like I couldn't rock up with my platinum hair and be filming something from the 1800s, And working in a field like this, a lot of people really like their job or they're trying to work up in some way, but to work in film, you have to want to. So everyone there wants to be there, even if it's a bad day or something's going on. For the most part, everyone wants to be there. So that just really changes the whole atmosphere of working on a set. Anyway, I think that is everything that my pea brain can spout. If you have any questions, since this is such a crazy broad thing, and I know that I tried to cover everything as much as I can, but people are still just so fascinated by it. If you leave them in the comments, I might make an update video, follow-up video, whatever. I might not. I don't know. It's however I feel. This channel's for me, it's not for you. As we've been seeing my trend this year of only making a video like once every 2 months, I gotta make the one video I make every 2 months count. And about that, I'm sorry, I don't have an excuse. It's the same old, I'm just ill. So I'm trying to get that fixed, and who knows, right? Thank you for joining me and listening to me ramble about my side gig from this. Or is this my side gig? Am I just unemployed? Thanks for hanging out with me. If you like what I do here, I have enamel pins that are available on Etsy. They're limited edition because I'm not ordering anymore. I'm tired of them. I want to get rid of them. Someone please take them. This is what they look like. There's also other links to things I do down below, like Twitch streaming, which is just as irregular as YouTube, but I try. I goof around. It's just there for fun and to play games. That's it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and sticking with me, not just through however long this video is, but also my erratic posting or whatever, and just being patient with me. I genuinely cannot express how much it means to me that people care enough about me to like still watch what I do when I just, kind of leave you hanging. Thanks for sticking around. Peace.
I put my foot in my mouth.